Just because our hair is gray and it's different than others, it being thinner, does not mean that it can't be healthy. What I'm realizing is it's about accepting what your hair does and how it is, and then learning to work with that. So you deal with your hair, it goes gray, you're saying, okay, I'm going to let it go gray, but then you realize, wait, why isn't it behaving like I'm used to? And these are some hard facts as to why that is. I also want you to understand that similar to when you're natural and you can find that you have different textures in your hair, even with your gray hair, you're going to have to take care of that in a different way than you do for your pigmented hair. When I first went natural, the big thing was hair typing. 3A, 4A, all of that. What I do find to be a better indicator of how our hair is the porosity of it, because all those things can affect how products work in your hair. If you guys saw the video of all the products that I'm using for my gray natural hair, you'll see that you might try them and it might give you a different result because your hair could be a different porosity or a different density. When I went on YouTube, I'm seeing now another beautiful niche that I fit into. Those of us who have gray, fine hair. I did a video that talked about how you want to be careful to not compare your hair to other people's hair. When you go on YouTube, you see all these amazing people with this full, luscious, voluminous hair. And you could sometimes look at your hair and be like, well, what's wrong with mine? Why can't I get it to do that? I thought that it was important to put something out there for those of us in the gray hair community, as well as being natural, who have finer hair, lower density hair, high porosity hair, and mention some things about that. So I have my notes on my phone, so that's why you're going to see me looking down. But what I thought was interesting is many who are going gray tell me that their hair is thinner and they're dealing with thin hair. Maybe their hair used to be thicker and now it's thinner. And Green Beauty had mentioned that the cuticle layer of gray hair is thinner. And so because of that, automatically that makes it more porous. So I don't necessarily think that if your hair is gray that it's automatically high porosity, but it is more porous than your pigmented hair for sure. And it makes sense because of the fact that, like she said, the cuticle layer is thinner. And I said in my other video that I didn't notice much of a texture change with my hair, especially when I leave it in a wash and go, because it behaves better when it's in a wash and go than any other style. But there actually is a change in texture with my gray hair than my pigmented hair. And that's because of the loss of melanin. Melanin is so important to our hair. Melanin also provides sebum or oil to our hair. And just in general, when you're natural, because of the fact that our hair is coilier and it's not just straight, it has a hard time getting oil. So that makes it a little bit drier than other textures. So the loss of melanin causes low sebum to our hair. So if you're gray and you're natural, that can be another reason why you're dealing with dryness. So I'm mentioning all these things too, so that you guys realize that you're not alone. You're not imagining things. There are more special needs with the gray hair than there is with the pigmented hair. And then this was something that was interesting to me about gray hair, that it is the innermost layer of the gray hair is called a medulla. And that is like the marrow of the hair. And so when that is missing in our gray hair, so it leaves an air bubble. And because of that, that is why our gray hair is more fragile. And I was like, look at that. So the fact that that inner marrow, that medulla, is missing in our innermost layer of our hair, that makes it more fragile, more prone to breaking, more prone to drying. And it makes it thinner too. So if you're noticing thinning hair, dry hair with your gray hair, those are the reasons. The fact that the melanin causes a lower amount of sebum or oil going to our hair, as well as the fact that the cuticle layer is thinner, it's more porous. So there's moisture coming in, but it's going out as fast as it's coming in. And then we have the issue of the innermost layer missing. So all those things make it we have to be a little bit more creative as to how we take care of that gray hair. So it needs more moisture, it needs more attention, it needs us to be more delicate with it, kind of treat it like fine china. Because of the Green Beauty channel, I realized that there's science to these things. I appreciate the research that she goes through to help us to understand our hair. And I mean, she has so many videos on the power of melanin, the melaninocytes, I think it's called. And if you're not fully gray all over, then you'll understand that we all have a mixture of the gray hair as well as the pigmented hair. It also mentioned because of that missing marrow, that could also explain why our hair has a looser curl pattern. If you're a curly and you're silver or gray, that could be another reason why your hair pattern is the way that it is. So I was just like, wow, that makes so much sense. But again, for me, I have found that my hair behaves best when it is in a wash and go state. So when I try and do stretch styles, I find more frizz. And this is why a lot of people say that gray hair has a mind of its own. It does. It's so different. And because of that, if you find that the back of your hair is more pigmented than the front, then you might find that you're going to need to use different products with different parts of your hair. Green Beauty also mentions on one of her videos about porosity of hair that that's another reason why one of the things that I've learned from both my hair journeys, being natural and being gray, is you have to work with what you have. And I mentioned this in my other video about my hair products, you can look at somebody here on YouTube who has hair that looks like it could be similar to yours, but it's still a lot of trial and error. You have to look and see if it will work for you. And if it doesn't, that's okay. I guess I could say that my white hair is looser than my pigmented hair. But I have a mixture. I have like a white streak, I have some patches, and then I'm having a lot of salt and pepper. And some of you are on a gray hair journey and a natural hair journey, which is not easy. That's two big changes happening at the same time. Do you guys notice a thinning of your hair now that it's gray? And that can be hard, especially if your hair is naturally curly and you have like these natural curls and then there's the straight pieces. I find people might have more of that issue too when they have the salt and pepper coming in. Self-love is important on your gray hair journey, and a part of love is acceptance and patience. And so, especially if you're just starting your gray hair journey, you need to be patient as you learn this new hair. If it's different than what it was before, sometimes we have a lot of frustration, and it's understandable why we're frustrated with our hair, but it's different than our pigmented hair. And so the more we learn, the more we know, the more we can be patient as we're getting to know this new normal. I had to learn this on my natural hair journey, and I'm learning it on my gray hair journey. Your hair is not going to look like everybody else's. There's nothing wrong with admiring those with voluminous hair or longer hair or, the curl pattern or structure that we would like. But we have to accept where we're at. In the video that I saw from Green Beauty, she also mentioned that if our hair is thinner, drier, just by nature, and then we're coloring it, she said it can further damage the hair. So I think another thing that can be hard for us to accept while we're growing out our gray hair is that we're also dealing with some damage that came from the dye. And it will take some time for the hair to get back to health. And this is another thing too that's interesting. There's our pigmented hair, and then there's also our colored hair. If your hair is colored, then that's not really like your virgin hair. So I think also patience comes in as your hair gets to better health and you grow out the dyed hair, not just with your gray hair, but your virgin hair that doesn't have any dye on it. That's actually another awesome benefit and gift from stopping the dye. There are many who told me that they have had allergic reactions to dye when they use it, or, you know, they want to reduce the amount of toxins that are in their scalp. And so, you know, feeling freedom from not having to dye their hair has also helped them help their health. I don't know if you guys experienced that same thing. I remember before I went gray, I was using henna because I wanted to use something less toxic to color my hair. And henna was like a nice twofold. It was a dye and it could also strengthen my hair. But I just didn't like the way the gray hair came out. It was like fire engine red. I did use the black, but then I was having Grownberry every month when you think about it. Like, at least I went through it once and for all, and my hair is gray and, you know, some still dark. But when I was trying to color my roots, I was going through that Grownberry anyway with the henna. Did you guys find that when you were coloring your hair that it would take really well? I found with my edges, getting relaxer and coloring my roots so frequently did lots of damage to my edges. Let me know if that was the same for you guys. And so now that my hair is gray, I will say it's also because I have this tapered cut that helps. But when I first went really low, like, I had to deal with the balding edges. And somebody was telling me recently they were dealing with the fact that their edges were so thin and then they were gray, so you could see the balding more. And that was hard for them. And I remember right before I went gray, I used something called Topics. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. It's like a powder or a fiber that you could spray onto your scalp. And I would use that on my edges because, especially after I had my son with postpartum shedding, that was like a big thing. So keeping the scalp clean is important too, because in order for you to take in all that goodness, you need to make sure that your scalp is clean. I think I remember seeing something the other day that said you'd be surprised that the bacteria in a dirty scalp can cause hair loss. There are things that are practical that we can do to help our hair. But like I said, guys, at the end of the day, when that can't be changed, then that's where the self-love can kick in and accepting where you're at with the way your hair is. Again, just because of the things that I mentioned about gray hair doesn't mean that you can't have thick, healthy gray hair. But if you're having thinning, that could help you to understand why. A lot of the things that I'm saying are relative. So there are some people who have thick gray hair. My mom is one of them. Sometimes I look at my mom's hair and I'm like, why did I not get that gene? I have thinner hair in general. Deep conditioning is important, and also sealing. Because our hair can be more porous, the moisture comes in really well, but we have to make sure that we seal it too. And I know that twists and styles like that can help keep the moisture in more so than wash and go. I'm just a wash and go girl. It's so funny how you really have to know your hair. I find it very difficult when I put my hair in twists. I see people who have these beautiful twists that just hang nicely. I could literally maybe put my hair in 6 twists and they would be like these little larva looking caterpillar twists. So as much as I would love to wear my hair in twists, I'd probably have to add some hair to it to get it to look the way I would like. But I find that when my hair is in a wash and go, that's when frizz goes away. So you have to know your own hair. Also, massage. I did not realize how much massaging my scalp is important for bringing up the oils naturally that are on my scalp. Something else that I heard is inverting your head upside down. That also helps to bring the circulation to your scalp, feeding it the blood and things that it needs to grow. I am realizing that learning about gray hair is important. It is different than your pigmented hair. You're not imagining things if you feel your hair is thinner, drier. And there are practical things that we can do to help: deep conditioning, hot oil treatments, the styles that we decide to style our hair. But at the end of the day, we have to come to a point of acceptance to what our hair is and remembering that we're more than hair, and to apply that love, right? When you're on a gray hair journey, I could give you an example. If you're looking in the mirror and you're like, I hate this yellow, or I hate my roots, and you're saying that kind of talk to yourself, that can make the journey more difficult. But if you say things like, I'm willing to be patient for my hair to grow out, I'm willing to accept that there's going to be some yellow in my hair, those are things that can make your journey a lot smoother. Please show yourself compassion, show yourself patience. It will take longer than you think. And that's okay. And we can be thankful for this gray hair journey because it teaches us our hair. We learn our hair. You never stop learning. Thought you knew your hair, and your gray hair will teach you. You don't know about me yet. So you'll get used to that new normal. Cheer yourself on that you made the decision to fully embrace your silver crown and look for the gifts that it gives you. All those things can help you to have an abundant mindset. And just earlier today, I was talking with someone who said that their gray hair has given them more confidence because you feel more authentic, you feel more comfortable in your own skin. So that is always my hope, to encourage and inspire you to love yourself more, treat yourself with more compassion on whatever journey it is that you're on. I thank you for all you guys teach me, and thank you for this platform that you allow me to share my story. For those of you who don't know, I also have a website called naturallygraceful.com, and I have a newsletter that goes out weekly where I just share some encouragement, some inspiration, things to encourage you to show yourself love and compassion. Again, I appreciate all of you. So I hope you have a compassionate rest of your week, and I'll see you on the next one.